Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I have two lunch ideas and a breakfast idea to share with you. Actually rebooting an old breakfast idea. So if you guys are OG watchers, you will recognize this from something I used to do like right when I started Weight Watchers back in the day. So I have a nice cold chicken pasta salad. I have a chicken salad that I'll have with like crackers or on sandwiches, and then the reboot are pancake muffins using the Kodiak cakes. I'm doing it a little bit different than I used to back in the day. This recipe originally came from Kim over in Fit and Fabulous, if you guys remember her. She used to make pancake muffins, and I used to make them the way that she did, and I've just changed it up a little bit because it popped up on my Pinterest board, and I thought, hey, I remember making those back in the day. So let's look at this recipe, and I kind of combined the old with the new, and that's what we came up with. So let's get into the video. First up, of course, is going to be cutting some veggies. These lunches that I'm making take a lot of veggies, so I'm just going to get all that done with. At the beginning, I always tell you guys, if you have to use any veggies for any of your meals that you're prepping, do that first. And then that way the rest of it just goes really, really quickly. So that's what I always do first, is I always cut my vegetables. So what I've been doing also is when I need to use like half of a bell pepper in a recipe, then I'll dice that up for the rest of the recipe, and then I just slice up the rest for my vegetable container. I've been doing this now for quite a while, but I've been doing it consistently since I've been back on WWNS, keeping my vegetable container in the refrigerator, and I even just keep it in there empty too. That way it's always in there. No matter if it's empty or full, it's in my refrigerator. That way it reminds me to fill it up. So what I do is when I'm cutting up veggies for dinners or lunches or whatnot, then I just cut up the rest of the pepper or whatever I'm cutting, and I just cut up the rest of it for my veggie box, and that's been working out really well. So I need a lot of bell peppers for the salad that I'm making, and then I also need my usual like green onions and red onions for salads, and then I needed some cilantro for a recipe and also some celery. So I'm just going to get all that stuff cut up, and then we'll get on to making the rest of the lunches. Now I'm going to brine my chicken breast. I found this on Skinniest Dish like years ago, and you just use a quarter cup of kosher salt per every 2 pounds of chicken. This is 5 pounds of chicken. You let it sit for as long as you can, but they say like don't do it over like 10 hours, so I did mine for about 5 hours. And then you just rinse it off, pat it dry, and then it's supposed to break down those fibers and make it really tender. And I'll tell you guys, it really does work, by the way. So for my seasonings, I'm going to use smoked paprika, oregano, garlic powder, and then salt and pepper. And this is actually also from that same recipe. And these are like the most perfect spices. I love smoked paprika. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. So I'm just going to sprinkle all that on there. And then I'm going to go in with my hands and kind of rub it into the tops of the chicken. That way every piece gets it pretty distributed evenly. Now these are really big pieces of chicken, so I need to cook these a little bit longer. These are going to go in at 450, and you want to of course cook them until your temperature is just right. What is it, like 165 I believe is the temperature they say to go for. But make sure you check that, because don't quote me on that. Anyway, so I'm just going to make sure that the spices are nice and evenly distributed, putting it on some foil, putting it at 450. So my smaller ones there in the back, those took about 25 minutes. The ones in the front, they're big. I don't know if you can tell how big they are. Those took about 35 minutes to get completely done. So I'm cooking this up also for 2 meals that I'm having for dinner later in the week, and also for my lunches. So I just wanted to get these all cooked up, all ready to go. So this is going in the oven. Meanwhile, I'm going to get the rest of the ingredients for the salad ready. So I need to have some Fiber One pasta, the light penne. I'm using 2 bags of this Tuscan broccoli. I'm going to use a half each of the yellow bell pepper, orange bell pepper, red bell pepper, and I'm going to cut up that entire thing of cherry tomatoes. And we're just going to cut them in half. So I'm doubling this recipe though, because I want to make some for myself, and then also my son will take some with him to work. So that's why I'm doubling this recipe to make 8 servings. This is the penne pasta I like to use. It is 100 calories for a 2-ounce serving, which to me is plenty. I love this pasta. So I'm going to cook that up and also get all my veggies cut up, which you saw I already did that. So that's why the salad goes together so easy, because all my veggies are already done. So I have my tomatoes, my bell peppers, some red onion, and also some cilantro as well, is everything that's going in there. Then I cooked up the broccoli in the microwave, and I went ahead and just dumped that in there. So I have the 2 bags of broccoli. Meanwhile, my pasta is done. I'm just rinsing it in the sink. I do like to rinse that pasta off really well because it gets, I don't know, it just kind of gets a little like kind of starchy on top. It's probably whatever fiber is used in it in place of like all the regular stuff that's in pasta. So I'm just going to mix all that up really well, and then I'm adding in the pasta just a little bit at a time. Since this is a doubled recipe, I had this in a humongous bowl to make sure I had it all mixed up well enough. Now I'm going to add in a half of a cup of this light Olive Garden dressing. I didn't really feel like I need more than that, so I'm going to go ahead and slice up my chicken. Also, when the chicken comes out of the oven, don't touch it for like 10 minutes. And the whole point of the brining and not touching it is to make it nice and juicy, and it really does. Like, a lot of people don't like boneless, skinless chicken breast because they say it's dry. And this recipe, actually, she had this posted on her Instagram, and it just reminded me, it's like, oh yes, I made that like years ago and loved it, yeah, loved it. So the recipe will be linked down below. I'll try and remember, but it's from the Skinniest Dish, and it's the Easy Baked Chicken Breast. So just look that up. And if you're not following her over on Instagram, you should, because she has a lot of great like WW recipes. And I think that's why it popped up on my Pinterest, because I've been looking at, you know, since I've been back on WW, I'm trying to look up like different recipes. What have I missed while I've been gone? That kind of thing. So anyway, gonna get this chopped up. And then what I'll do is just top this on top of my different meal preps. And again, like I said, I doubled this to make 8 servings, and normally this would make 4. So I have 7. You can't really see the 8th one is off the side. So what I do is I just weighed out like I normally do, weighed out my whole bowl. Then I just weighed out each individual container, and then I just added the chicken on top. I didn't really weigh out the chicken because I knew it would be 0 points for me anyway. So I didn't really worry about weighing out the chicken, but I did weigh out everything else. Next up, we're going to make a simple chicken salad. So I have 2 cans of canned chicken. I did 3 tablespoons of light mayo, and then 3 tablespoons of the Greek yogurt. And I'm going to have this salad like with crackers, on my 45-calorie bread, you know, whatever you want. Sometimes I just like to eat it with vegetables. Adding in like 3 stalks of finely diced celery, and then also some finely diced red onion. And then I found this recipe actually on the Clean and Delicious YouTube. She puts spinach in her chicken salad. Why did we never think about that before, you guys? That is such a great idea. So I have 2 cups of spinach, and I finely diced it down. And so that we get our greens in, we get our vegetables in, and I get my extra point back, you know, for having all those veggies in there. Added some salt and pepper. Sometimes I'll add mustard to this, but I didn't this time. Sometimes I'll also add some other spices, but I just wanted to keep it simple this time. So there you go. Really nice, simple greens chicken salad, but it has those greens in there. So I tried this. It tastes really good. So, but definitely make sure your spinach is finely chopped up, because otherwise you'll get those big leaves, and sometimes that's not fun. Next up, the pancake muffin reboot. So I have the Kodiak power cakes right here. Also going in this, I'm going to do a 1/4 cup of the sukrin gold brown sugar alternative. I didn't know about this back in the day, so glad to be sweetening up these Kodiak cakes because they're not very sweet. I'm also going to add in some of this oat milk, which I've been liking making stuff with because it is nice and thick and creamy. It reminds me a lot of cashew milk, which I have so much trouble finding cashew milk in the stores. It's sold out all the time. So we want a cup of that oat milk. Then we're going to do 2 eggs, which eggs were not in the original recipe either, but this makes them a lot fluffier. And back in the day, eggs were not 0 points either. So we had to make these muffins back then, you know, really, you know, close to low point. So eggs were not 0 back then. Also going to put in a half of a mashed banana. And then I'm going to do a teaspoon of baking powder just to kind of fluff it up. And I did used to do this back in the day. Back then, I was just Kodiak cakes and the banana, and I can't remember what liquid we used. I have no idea. I had to look back on my channel. Anyways, I'm going to mix all that up really well until it's nice and incorporated. And I forgot to add the yogurt at this point because I decided I did want to add in some yogurt just to kind of add up the creaminess and fluffiness a little bit. So I did add in a half of a cup of the Greek, plain non-fat Greek yogurt. This recipe will be written out down below, by the way. Then we have some blueberries here. I just do 2/3 of a cup of blueberries. Mix that up. And then I'm just using my brownie pan here. I sprayed it really good with cooking spray. So this made 12 of them. I will have on the screen the points and calories for this. And I put this in my tracker as 6 servings. Oh, by the way, this is going into the oven at 350 for 25 minutes. So I did put this in the tracker as 6 servings, so it'd be 2 of the muffins. And I believe it only came out to 3 points, but I'm also going to pair this with sausage. And so I don't know if I'll have 2 of them every day, but I'd put them in there just in case, just so I could know what 2 of them were. Because, you know, I eat like more in the beginning of the day than I do at the end of the day. So I like to get my calories in the earlier in the day to keep me from like snacking like all the rest of the day. So anyway, I'll have everything on the screen. Check out the description box for that recipe. Next up, we're going to make our favorite thing, Jello. You guys have been loving the sugar-free Jello with sugar-free Cool Whip. So this week we're going to use some cherry. So I just have my boiling hot water. So you're supposed to just stir this until everything's nice and dissolved. And then I have some amazing tasting. Oh my gosh, these are so good. These are some dark sweet cherries that were frozen, and I thawed them out, let them drain a little bit, added those in there, and then I have to add in my 2 cups of cold water. And then this will just set up in the refrigerator, and I'll just scoop some out, put in some sugar-free Cool Whip on top. And you guys, this is literally what I've been having almost every single day for dessert. I think I probably had this like 4 days last week. I didn't show it every day in the video because it just gets kind of repetitive and boring, but I did. Absolutely loving this. So here's my big thing of veggies, so my veggie container, plus I have my green onions, some cilantro left over, some red onions, so I have all the things for salads for the week if I want salads. So you guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch my video. Check out the description box for any recipes and links down there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.